Hello, everybody. I'd like to say hi to everyone in the chat. Gorilla's Random Thoughts, VR Queen, and the guys on the panel. Oh, I can hear my voice, so time to pause that. Okay, so today we're going to have a general discussion on the Jedi Order. But in starting now, we can't avoid the question in the room of the little green shit known as Yoda. Yeah, Yoda was bad for the Jedi Order. Now, me and Farv have had legendary talks about this for days. Farv, would you like to start us off talking about your love for Yoda?
Yeah, because I'm well known for having that.
Tell us about how you love Baby Yoda.
No.
Don't
Yoda.
even get me started on that. We'll be here all fucking night. No. Fuck that thing. Anyway. Well, the issue we've discussed before is that Yoda was bad for the Jedi Order because the ideas that Yoda had, whether he meant well with them or not, were not suitable for people who were not members of his species.
Why? Because of the timeline.
Exactly.
Yes.
The long ass amount of time that his species lived, and he justified and dictated all of these decisions for the Jedi Order based on that.
Yeah, I've had I was talking to historians and things like that, and they said when you're talking about immortality and different things like that, they said imagine, let's talk for talk's sake, say back in 1700s, right? Pick any president, George Washington from the 1700s. If you brought him to today, by today's standards, he may be a monster.
Well, look at it this way. Let's just look at the one thing where Jedi weren't allowed to form relationships or attachments, have wives, that kind of thing, right?
Yes.
This is the equivalent of a little fucker who has sex maybe every 300 fucking years, telling you, who only gets to live maybe 50 to 100 years tops, that you can't fucking have a wife, you can't have sex, you can't be attached emotionally to anyone because he said so, because he can do that for 100 or so years and not think about it.
Well, the issue I take with that is basically the same issue I take with superheroes also not having stable relationships. Like,
oh Lord, the Marvel.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, Spidey had a very difficult time getting, Peter Parker in the classic comics had a difficult time putting together a relationship because of, for one, the guilt that every time he hooked up with anybody, they were in danger 24/7.
Also,
and they made that very clear in the films. I mean, and Batman refused it as almost a stoic thing, like a hair suit, in ancient medieval times, that you would isolate your masculinity so that you wouldn't weaken your knees, like Mick says to Rocky in the first movie. Women weaken legs, so it's verboten, and you don't need that kind of interaction because it's a distraction.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, but the argument is, what am I fighting for then?
Yeah,
you're fighting for the normal people. That's who you're fighting for.
Sorry, Stephen, I don't mean to interrupt you. Just a heads up, your audio is giving a little bit of clipping.
Okay.
Just a heads up, if you lose connection, just come back. You have the link.
Yeah, I got you. I'm gonna pop out and come back in then.
Okay.
But yeah, so another issue, because when Stephen comes back, I do want to let him continue on. But one of the issues with Yoda is you have someone so old, right? So we know that his species is very rigid in their beliefs. So he now has someone who's, beliefs from 300 years ago, reigning for 800 years.
And they are generally, to most species, very alien beliefs and, practices.
Yeah, I mean, you've got one species whose needs to repopulate. Then you've got another species who's very sexual, the Twi'leks. They're a very sexual species. I so want to visit their world. But I mean, and so Yoda's like, oh, you can't have relationships, you can't have sex, blah blah blah. So a species like the Twi'leks, whose population is low, so they need to mass breed. And another thing, if the Jedi started breeding with each other, I'd like to. Then you would get back. You would breed yourself a whole load of fucking like Jedi's, which would nearly reduce the need to recruit. But Stephen, would you like to continue on what you were saying?
Yeah, this idea of breeding too. They were reliant that the Force would keep a population of Jedi always available. That this was right. I mean, isn't that what we're led to understand? Is that it was the Force that was seeking balance, and the Jedi were serving the Force, right?
Yes, the Guardians of the Force. The Force guides us. Stuff like that.
So the birth rate was almost in a form of faith. The Jedi assumed the Force would always provide.
Yes. So in current canon, I'm just going to say this. In current canon, basically, let's say for talk's sake that Stephen, you're a Jedi. Okay, you'll start getting what's called a pull. Where, say, I'm on a world and I'm a Force user, you'll start having dreams about me. And it'll nearly become an addiction. You have to go.
Right.
And this is what Jedi are relying on.
Yeah. It's how many people on the panel are familiar with the lensman of E.E. Smith?
Well, let's just presume none are, and the audience, and explain.
Okay. Anyway, it would have been an example. Imagine a species of a police force of psychics, because they have this device called a lens on them. And when they were assigned a duty, they would sit in their office and commune with the general mentality on the planet and seek out issues to be solved, right? Because the general plasma of all mentality on his duty station would be like a force that he could commune with, and it would tell him there are this many number of women crying, there are this many number of babies going to sleep hungry, and so on and so on and so on.
Like Minority Report.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
And he would get a sense of where he was best needed, and then he would provide that data to the men on the ground, the boots on the ground, and he would be the captain of those boots on the ground.
Yes.
And I would imagine that the Jedi were working in much the same way. This is why I'm so disappointed with the current progression of storytelling in the Star Wars universe. It's like, guys, you've got this incredible body of material, and you're not addressing any of it. You're not using it the way Next Gen would use the teleporters, the warp drive, and they would actually explore the technology in detail.
Back in just a second.
So are you familiar with Rebels, Stephen?
I'm familiar with it only by name. I know that it's a thing. I know that people watched it.
So in Star Wars Rebels, they had a race, I forget their name, but they state, a Jedi states, that there's many different people who use the Force in many different ways, and they call it many different things, the Ashai, the Tanar, different things like that, which means that there's many different orders out there.
Right. One could suggest that the Jedi Order was kind of an umbrella over all of them.
It was.
Much the same way that they're trying to consolidate all the religions on the planet in a single form, as almost like a planetary translation of what we're all talking about, even though we use different religious terms.
Are you, you know the Night Sisters from the Clone Wars?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. No, I don't.
Okay, so the Night Sisters from the Clone Wars, I'm just going to explain this for Steven and people who haven't seen it. The Night Sisters in the Clone Wars use what's called basically magic. Okay? Force witchcraft, dark side magic, dark side alchemy, things like that. But in a sense, they're using the dark side to do literal magic. But they are another order. Now, when the Empire rose up, they got nuked from orbit. They were wiped off the map. Because they could resurrect the dead. They could change people. So Darth Maul was changed from being some guy into what he is. Darth Maul had a brother who was changed from some guy into someone bigger, stronger, tougher, more vicious, gave him stronger force abilities just by their magic. And they are a very dangerous sect. And they're gone now. But yeah, they were called the Night Sisters.
See, that's interesting that they chose, and here's what I mean about the general discussion of like Jedis and the Force and the Star Wars universe in general. It would have been interesting if there was no race that looked like Darth Maul. There may have been a race similar to him, but it was the Sith process that made him look like that.
Yeah.
That would have been an interesting turn of events for the canon
Yeah.
of Star Wars.
There is a race called the Zabrak who look identical to Darth Maul but a different color.
Right.
But the race of Night Sisters it's really strange because they're another version of Zabraks, right? Where all the females are born looking like grey humans, right? And all the males are born looking like Darth Maul. Now, the thing about Darth Maul's biology is, the black on his body, not the red.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The black is his natural skin color, the red is his tattoos.
Ah, okay. I like that.
Yeah, so the Zabraks have grey on their bodies, while the brown and the blues are their tattoos. That's how you tell the difference. There's blue and red coming from the Dathomiri Zabraks.
You got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, there are several species of reptile on the planet, and of course, all of our fish species, certainly the tropical ones, and insects as well, have very drastic zebra-like, semi-bilateral formations on their body naturally. I mean, it's part of the whole thing. It's where tigers get their stripes, so to speak. So, yeah, I could easily see a whole species like that.
This is a female Dathomiri Zabrak.
Okay.
This is what the female race of Darth Maul looks like.
Yeah, I always prefer the animation over the semi-live action. The Uncanny Valley is just too powerful.
And that's from a game.
This is from a game.
Still.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, just showing you what they look like. Now, if you go into Zabrak Star Wars, there's the 3 variations of Zabrak.
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes. I've certainly seen reactions to some of these episodes where this race was, or this species was.
Yeah, so this is the regular Zabrak. Now these two here are the 2 variation types of the Dathomiri Zabraks. They're actually brothers to each other. So Darth Maul got the red tattoos because he was taken younger when he was all black. And these are Sith tattoos, while he was taken as a man in his 30s. So these are just like games and concept art and things like this.
Right.
But yeah, and the Zabraks, through their use of the magic, ended up with, now it's a matriarchal society where the witches are in charge, but the males have incredible force potential.
Well, and it was really, despite how, heart-wrenching it was really kick-ass watching Palpatine gut Savage Opress.
Yeah. Oh, Savage Opress was a, Count Dooku, Stephen?
Mm-hmm.
She was his knight sister.
No, that's
apprentice.
Asajj Ventress. Savage Opress is the brother.
Oh, sorry.
The brother.
Yeah. Savage Opress was Darth Maul's brother. He was bigger, stronger.
But he couldn't use the Force for shit.
No, he wasn't really trained. He was basically, you come here, boom, here's magic, fuck off. Go kill that person.
Well, actually, Dooku tried to train him, and he just kept failing at it. And Dooku was getting impatient.
Well, he didn't have the same force potential, but the dude fought Mandalorians, so obviously his physicality more than made up for a good deal of it.
Yeah. But another thing, which I don't know if you know, which caused a big issue for the Jedi, is where their temple was built. The
Yeah, what's the
temple-
canon on
Yeah.
that?
Oh,
It's still
it was built. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. We're explaining
Okay.
the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. So the Jedi Temple is built as an inversion of the Dark Sith Temple underneath it. The entire planet of Coruscant, at its core, is a dark force altar,
Nexus.
basically. Nexus, yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, in Dagobah where the tree was, where Luke had his weird ass vision. Imagine that only like 50 times bigger, and it's because that was the dark force microcosm nexus there. This is like the full thing. That's why Sidious was able to mask himself for so long, and that's also using Dagobah. That's how Yoda was able to hide himself from Sidious for so long. Like he kind of took a play from his enemy's book there.
Yeah. Which the thing is, it seems that the more of one side you are, like the fewer. The reason for the Sith is that there were so many Sith using the dark side that the dark side got diluted. Right? And the Sith were, I'm just going to move us so we look better. So the Sith were all fighting each other. It's like, I'm going to be the Emperor. Every Sith had this fight in them. Right? So, after the Jedi Sith Wars 1,000 years ago, when they all got wiped out, there was one survivor, Bane. Right? And he instituted the rule of two. There's always two. One to hold power and one to crave it. No more, no less. Right? And they put in a centuries-long plan. Because the thing is, if I am the Sith, and I choose Stephen as my apprentice, that means I see a potential in Stephen. If he kills me, that means he's stronger. That means the Sith gets stronger. Then he gets an apprentice who gets stronger than him. And so on and so on and so on. Which led down to Palpatine. And that's why there's only two Sith. Now, in my opinion, this is my headcanon. The whole reason for Anakin is Darth Sidious may have been the dark side counterpart to Anakin.
Well, he's literally, if you read the Darth Plagueis novel, which is still canon apparently, he's literally like his Force father. Like, he's the reason why Shmi Skywalker got pregnant without a father.
Right. I could see that.
That really
pretty clear.
creepy comic thing where he was Force impregnating her.
Yeah. Oh, that was they actually came out and addressed that. That's not actually what happened. That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Good panel.
You fucked up so much where you had to come out and no, you're reading it the wrong way.
That's not what it looks like going on, but
you've got to watch it 2 or 3 times before you can truly appreciate it.
Yeah, but Stephen, you were saying?
Yeah, just the idea that there's a prophecy that the Force was going to adjust Jedi society in general suggests that, of course, Force pregnancies would be a thing. Of course. Just the idea that they're all sexually isolated and are continuously touching the universe through the Force. Of course, even by accident.
Sounds so dirty when you say it that way.
Well, that's actually what's going on, isn't it? They're continuously in contact.
In a way, you're not wrong at all. Like, it's just a little closer than what we want to admit.
So, Stephen, for your
Atar.
So, Stephen, for what you're saying, to actually back it up, there's a Jedi in one of the stories, and he's talking, right? He's kneeling down and he's talking to his apprentice, and she's looking up at him, and he says, "The Force flows through us and moves with us. We do not correct the Force uses us." Now, I'm not saying some, but I mean, like, some flowing through a female can result in a baby.
Yeah, like I said, man, it's like
Yeah.
the story already. Even if you only take the conversations between Luke, Obi-Wan, and Darth Vader from the first 3 films, you just take those conversations alone. It's a stream. It's all around us. It's in everything. It speaks through us. We are
Yes.
guided by it. You never use it for attack, only defense. I mean, it's all the evidence is there. Even the suggestion of a prophecy.
There is actually even more, going from Anakin to Darth Vader. In current canon, Darth Vader got into the secret libraries of the Jedi that only a High Grand Master could read. After he got into them, he's after. Now, this was what he was fresh Darth Vader, so he was still Anakin level knowledge. By the time we now see Luke, we have 25, 30 years of him reading these. He's completely understands a lot more than Anakin ever did.
I'm sorry. I'm going to take the position of anti-derivative Jill and say that I'll be willing to accept the prequels. Everything else after that is highly dubious Star Wars.
It's hard to argue that point, really.
Yeah.
Because the original creator is no longer present in the dialogue.
Yeah.
Now we have the Disney interpretation.
Which has been wildly inaccurate a lot of the time.
Yeah, and it breaks canon overtly.
Yeah. They literally made the Guardian of the Jedi libraries have a lightsaber gun.
A what?
A lightsaber gun where she takes the hilt of a lightsaber, puts it into this thing, it fires with the power of like 70 to 80 clone trooper blasters.
Yeah, well, that's because the kyber crystals are alive. She was able to tap into basically its connection to the Force, and there's some bullshit.
Yeah. But okay, Stephen, without going into then saying the secret, Anakin Vader now has access to the entirety of the Jedi libraries, correct? Which is now the palace of Darth Sidious.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that means he can spend all these years reading all that knowledge. So he still has a very deeper grasp of the knowledge, more than Anakin did.
Yeah, I take issue with where the whole Darth Vader thing went. I don't like the prequels. I take serious issue with them even being included in canon because they break most of the literature that surrounded them and declared that literature is not valid by doing so. So I take even issue with that. I take issue with the idea that, unless I'm mistaken, we have never heard the prophecy.
Yes, we have.
Not on screen, we haven't.
No, we've heard pieces of it, but yeah, you're right. We never heard the entire prophecy.
So we can't bear witness. We're just experiencing it, and that's what I find fault.
In the Clone Wars and in Rebels, they have stated that the prophecy came from 2 Force visions.
That's fine with me. I don't care where it came from. Read the goddamn document.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah, but what I'm saying is people foresaw this. 2 separate people, so that's 2 separate interpretations.
There's also, in one of them, there's also something suggesting that Darth Bane had seen the prophecy as well.
It's just, we never get the opportunity. Like, okay, in a heist movie, right? You know the plan, or at least you know where it could go wrong, because they've foreshadowed all of it, right? The prophecy is the foreshadowing to the tragedy of Vader. Or is it a tragedy, right? Like, the audience is now put in the position to bear witness. Is Darth Vader and the rise of Luke Skywalker a tragedy story? Tune in and find out, right? Because we know the prophecy. If we knew the prophecy from the beginning, we would be able to earmark all the way through and have discussions with each other about, oh no, this definitely means that Darth Vader is a good thing. And that by him giving birth to Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia, that they're actually bringing balance to the Force, and the Jedi Order has been wrong the whole time to stop the Sith from being, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we never get that opportunity to have that discussion because the evidence is not present.
speaking about the Jedi, one of my main issues, and far if you're a soldier, you can back me up on this, if I'm right or wrong, right?
I'm listening.
I think being so centralized was their big problem.
Well,
For
issue
such-
number 1, which was mentioned even for people that don't like the prequels, is that the Jedi were more like a security force, a police force. They were never meant
Yeah.
to be military, but they kept sending them to places they just shouldn't really be.
As Obi-Wan said in the sequels, for 1,000 generations, the Jedi have guarded peace.
Yes.
Right. And that's what Yoda's problem was about this whole Clone Wars thing, which is why I was just like, Yoda he would be undermining this the whole time, because he would be old enough to know that this is a huge mistake, because they're going to drag the Jedi Order into a military action and put pressure on the whole rest of the universe to make a decision finally to get rid of them, right? He knew it was a trap.
Yeah.
Well, but that's kind of the whole point of it. Palpatine had moved things around to where they were politically trapped into doing it. It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario. And because if they had stood aside and not helped, then they would have been persecuted for that.
He put
And-
the Jedi in a no-win situation where, as much as the Jedi argued internally the council...
Hold on, guys, I'd like to welcome to the stream Tim Possible. Welcome, Tim.
Hello there.
Hey, Tim.
What's up, everyone?
Morning.
Yes.
Hey.
Carry on.
So, you were saying?
Oh, yeah, well, the thing is that Sidious, or Palpatine, whichever you want to call him, he deliberately played things in the long game to put the Jedi and Yoda, because let's be real, he always saw Yoda as an issue, to put them in a position where they were forced to act one way or another, and no matter how they responded, they would still be in plain view to everyone for what they did.
Right. Yeah, and
Well, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't he mention in one of the films that the Jedi Masters are now blind
Yes.
to the Force? So he full on
the
admits
master,
that
the
he doesn't know
council
what's going on.
themselves actually mentioned it.
right.
And I
blind,
was
blind to the dark side, at least. But that was the whole point. They had shut themselves away from it for so long that they didn't even really have, they didn't have the familiarity that they were supposed to have with it, that the original Jedi and the rest of the ones that the Jedi came from, they didn't have the connection that they were supposed to have.
Right.
But I had heard an interesting theory, and this real quick, that the dark side of the Force is actually just a manipulation. If you consider the Force as a whole like a stream, the dark side only exists when you use the Force for your own means. So in that way, one could think of the Force as order versus chaos versus, rather than good versus evil. That's.
Right.
Well, that's one
and
way to
that's
put it.
how the Jedi Order became blind, was because in a time of war, the chaos in the universe ratchets up so high that it almost becomes a thermodynamic property of like agitation. So the stream is almost boiling as opposed to flowing.
My take has always been a little bit different. I think they were blind a lot longer than they admit to, and it's because the Jedi are by themselves an overcorrection. They push so hard to one direction, and they basically swept aside all other interpretations and visions and practices.
Well, that's why Qui-Gon pissed him off so bad.
Exactly. Effectively, they had rendered themselves blind to even what was supposed to be their actual duty and the coming prophecy, that they basically, like, Yoda was just putting off the actual balancing event.
They
and he knew it.
overcompensated to such an extreme that it handicapped them.
That's why I think he put in the things he did.
Well-
He said to himself, I know this is going to destroy the Jedi because that is the only thing that is going to begin any balancing act. So how do I prolong the Jedi as long as possible? Because he saw it as an overwrought good, but he couldn't see they pushed too far in one direction.
You know what it honestly sounds like? The Knights Templar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they are
Yeah,
somewhat modeled after warrior monks. So
Yeah, but Tim, what do you think? What's your opinions on what we've been saying?
Sorry, multitasking right now.
No worries, man.
No, tonight I was working on some editing some audio for my new cosplay.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got the black suit Superman costume in, and I'm waiting to drop it on my birthday on Tuesday. But I'm thinking about dropping it early because of the Black Adam stuff and Superman, Man of Steel, or Henry Cavill makes a cameo. I mean, it's not a
Nice.
spoiler; everyone knows it by this time.
Oh yeah, everyone.
Yeah, but anyways, as far as like I heard you guys were talking about like the dark side, which was interesting. Someone said that it was like a manipulation, or what was going on with that?
That's just one of the theories I've heard on another YouTube channel. It was a group of guys sitting there talking about it, just like we are now.
Well,
No.
interestingly enough, we have the Victorian trope of the greatest trick that the devil played on humanity was to convince them that they don't exist, and we have a parallel to the Jedi Order right here.
Yeah. No, what I heard originally, like we're going way back to like there was only Force users. There were no dark side or light side, and then what happened?
So we're going back
was
to the Jedi at this stage.
Yeah, it's split into factions based on like beliefs, and that's when the dark side was formed. But it started as one entity, and then the difference in opinion, everything expanded from there.
Yeah, my opinion is that there cannot be light without darkness. That the light side of the Force, by its mere existence, creates the dark side. Because when you turn on the light, there's always a shadow. So if you use the light, there has to be a shadow.
But one could argue there's a difference between shadow and pure darkness.
Yeah, but but maybe the shadow became pure darkness over time.
Well, the thing is, even in like you see, I was watching Injustice: Gods Among Us clips. They talk about when Superman, the Boy Scout, the blue Boy Scout goes over the hill. Who would have thought, right? But it took that like from a different multiverse, that one little moment of losing Lois Lane and his child to push him over edge to the dark side, where he's more harsh, right? To get things done, you have to be a certain way. And that's the way the Sith think. And the Jedi, like Batman, I know Batman, you wouldn't think, oh, the Dark Knight would not be, a Jedi. No, he would be a Jedi.
Yeah.
Maybe more so gray-ish. He'd be a Jedi-ish because he, like, brutally beats people. He does. But he doesn't, he tries to his best ability to kill people, but sometimes they do die. I mean, it's going to happen. And then, we watched Obi-Wan series. People died in that. And, like, obviously, those stormtroopers died when he was saving Leia when she was, like, chained up or whatever. So, I mean, the Jedi do kill. Batman does kill. Superman does kill. They have in the comics or whatever. And they have even, like, Superman killed in the Christopher Reeves one. What did Zod... He pushed Zod off he fell off and died because of Superman, right? Like,
and one of the going off what Tim was saying, one of the things that like show Jedi do kill Jedi is the Temple Guards. They are the Jedi hunting Jedi police.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, it's like just like. Oh, God.
No, you go ahead.
No, I just think. No, I didn't even realize this.
Excuse me, I have to retrieve something from my cat.
Okay.
No worries, man. What you were saying.
No, I didn't even realize the parallels till last night. I was doing some research on the Superman character and the black suit and the meaning behind that, because originally, in the Zack Snyder vision, there's visions of Superman becoming evil and all that, and then Injustice: Gods Among Us, which that's based off of. It's pushing over the edge point, and the parallels to the Jedi and the Sith, the difference in opinions, and then there is precedence into what the Sith is saying. There is they get things done, but it's not the most ethical, but they do what has to be done.
No.
But then the Jedi, they act like they're all noble and stuff, but they do shady things. The Council, they do shady things as well. Like they're not clean.
Yes.
And that's why, yeah, and that's why Anakin was like, hold up, you guys are a little sketch. And if we watch the, prequel trilogy, Anakin was a pawn, all right, and Obi-Wan let him be a pawn, and that's supposed to be his best friend. And then they knew kind of what was going on. They knew a Sith was present, but they kind of let Anakin be the little bait and toy, and he's like young and impulsive. And then Obi-Wan was kind of all for it. It's like, no, Anakin, you go with this and that. So I don't know. Maybe that's not originally how it was intended, but that's how I saw it in the movie.
I agree with you. Like, he was completely pawned. Now, I'm going to use a word that goes against the argument, but frankly, I don't give two fucks anymore. Basically, Anakin's... You can say I'm wrong, but Anakin's been a slave his entire life. He was a slave as a kid. He was pretty much forced to do what the Jedi said. And then he was basically enslaved to Palpatine. The only freedom he got was when he died. Throughout his entire life, Anakin had no freedom.
That's very true. Like, he was, obligated or tricked and manipulated by, he wasn't free, and then he was trying to get free with Padme, but they didn't get to run away because things, eventually happened too quick, where he couldn't control it. And then Palpatine was flooding his mind with these visions, right? And then he was like, yeah, I gotta save her, and we want to run away, but all of this stuff happened, and it was just kind of too late. And then at the time, he's like, oh dang, what am I doing? He's like, anything to save Padme. He's blinded by love, and then Obi-Wan is kind of trying to tell him, and then at that point, it was already too late. He killed a bunch of younglings. So yeah, a very sad story. And Star Wars Theory breaks down his whole life, how he's in pain and suffering. They purposely build a suit in such a way where that he's constantly in pain and sorrow. And
the suit is actually a downgrade compared to the modern prosthetics that they actually have.
Mm-hmm.
One of the descriptions I've heard of Star Wars is it's beautifully tragic.
Yeah. That's the thing. If it was ever remade, I know sacrilegious to say.
I know.
But to me, that's the biggest thing that drives me crazy is the buttons, the buttons on the front of the chest. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think myself. This is why I think that they're actually there. Is that the buttons are an obvious weak spot because we know it's weak to lightning. So Palpatine's go-to is Force lightning, right? So if Vader was say using the Force and he was doing whatever, that box that controls the suit, that is a straight up feckin' target zone.
Yeah. Because have you guys ever watched Bat in the Sun? They do the kind of the battles realistically. So basically what they did, they took Batman versus Darth Vader and they did two different scenarios. The scenario where Batman won is Batman's always planned. Obviously, Batman might not win when he's not planned, but when he's planned in, he has. I mean, they had Superman come in as well, or whatever, and it was over.
Well, that was the whole.
But
are you talking about the one where Superman was captured? The whole point was to save Superman.
Maybe, but did he in this one? Batman, the way he confiscated or the way he downgraded Darth Vader. He threw a device on his chest piece.
Yeah, it was an EMP. Just right, yeah.
He couldn't use the Force or whatever. He had to use it to breathe or whatever. And that's very smart. It could easily, look at. I think it's a cop out in MCU. It makes no sense at all. When in Ragnarok, where Valkyrie throws that little electrical device on Thor, and he's the god of thunder, and that he can't move. That makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
And then it's stupid. And then also you see Natasha, Black Widow, do that to Black Panther when he can take massive blasts to himself. But that little thing can like, and he has like one of the strongest metals in the world.
Well, that's literally what vibranium does. Is it distorts energy? So yeah, you're right. Like, there's no way that should have worked.
I had a weird idea. Do you think, if, say, for talk's sake, that Anakin stayed good and did not die? Let's just say, for talk's sake, this is the theory now. Do you think that if he got a Mandalorian-esque vibranium suit completely, that they would have accepted that was Anakin and Darth Vader was a different person entirely?
I've never really subscribed
Harvey,
to the
okay?
whole completely
I'm just looking
different.
at stuff in the comments.
Okay.
But you're talking about the best car metal.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, I'm with you on that. I've never subscribed to the fact that they are completely different personalities. I feel like it's, I feel like the other is always present there, because we've seen there has not been a single Sith Lord, Bane, Sidious himself, that hasn't had some sort of conflict. Sidious was evil to begin with. His entire backstory, how Plagueis found him, that he was, so I don't think, I really, really don't think that they are a different person, inhabiting the same body.
I think the reason why they say that it's a different person is for mental reasons. It's so like,
and I'll agree with that, like alternate personalities, but they still share the same mind.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying that they're even. I'm just saying it's a coping technique, like where it's like, oh, I'm doing all these evil things. I'm not Potato Revan. I'm Jayux, or something like that. And it's like, hey, I'm back to being Potato Revan. It's like, dude, no, man. You still stab.
Yeah, it's like the Green Goblin in Raimi's Spider-Man. It's like, don't give me that nonsense. Like, the idea that Spidey even flinched for a second, he should have been just like, you know what? I don't care, and swatted him across the face. You know what I mean? Like, we'll figure this out when you wake up again, and I've got you tied up real good, because you're dangerous, dude. I don't know what's going on, but you're dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. But one of the things that really kind of annoys me about the Jedi, especially, like I do like the stars, but I always kind of tend to play as the bad guy, is we don't see more angry Jedi.
Yeah, there's I really enjoyed the existence of Qui-Gon. I wasn't so happy that he was basically breaking canon with Obi-Wan, training Obi-Wan instead of Yoda directly, but I like the idea that they showed a gray lensman, a gray Jedi, that he was like, don't believe everything you read, try to always remember that it's really the Force in charge here, like, stop listening to the book, stop reading the book. He was basically an old school detective, Sergeant Rock, the good veteran, that kind of thing.
Well, and Qui-Gon, his beliefs were considered radical amongst the Jedi, but we find out later that it's actually more in line with the original Jedi Force users. But no,
right, it would have been great if we heard the prophecy from him. Like, the Jedi Order doesn't even talk about the prophecy, but he's part of a belief that we should pay more attention to this document, and that's how he finds Anakin. Like, that would have been great if he was a believer in the document over the Order.
But I agree. Yeah, I feel like Lucas fixed that whole thing, because not only the whole thing about Qui-Gon training Obi-Wan, because not only did Yoda train all of the younglings before they went off and found masters, but he also trained him a little bit more before the exile, after they failed to take down the Emperor. So I feel like, yes, they're Band-Aid fixes. It would have been better not to break canon to begin with, but I feel like he did at least implant decent excuses.
You know what I honestly would have really liked from him to do, just for talk's sake? You see Obi-Wan talking to and he's talking to Qui-Gon, and he's like, "Is this him? Do you think?" Because obviously he would have told him about the prophecy, right? And he drops the fact that there's a couple of Jedi Masters who have been exiled for their belief in the prophecy, and he's like, "But we're looking at the boy." He says, "My old master believed in it. He told me," and you just see a bit of conflict in him. So like literally some that he may have believed, but it's like now you have 100% proof that this kid is standing there. But in essence, to him just standing there, it's like I'm also getting constant whenever I touch him. I get a vision of him. He said, and I hear breathing in my head, and I don't know what it is. Because then you see him and he touches the shoulder, and for a split second you hear Darth Vader's breathing. What would you think?
Well, that could add a dimension to it.
That would have, it would have been a little more on the nose.
But it might have been too much
Time Prophet,
foreshadowing.
those are actually my family. That was my cousin Susie. But yeah, actually, speaking about on the note, I mean, come on. When he was walking onto the ship after leaving Shmi, the shadow that he literally portrayed on the rock was Darth Vader.
Yeah, that wasn't just in the. They added that in the movie. If you catch it real quick, that wasn't just the poster.
No, I saw it. Went back and I'm.
But and that's the thing. I'm not going to pretend I'm not a little biased. I was 8 years old when that movie came out.
Yeah,
like, I grew up with the prequels the way so some of a lot of these guys grew up with the originals. So
right,
Yeah. Hey,
Bubba, I feel
all...
you, man. I feel you on that one.
I
did
grew
as well.
up with both, so I don't have an issue with either. I saw issues with the prequels. I saw issues with the original trilogy. There was nothing perfect in either set.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this. Bubba, we can hear your surroundings. Just be careful, man.
All right, man.
Yeah, no, if you're outside... No. I'm just saying for his safety. Like, just
I think the wind blew into his mic.
Oh, yeah,
no,
sorry.
I'm not even mentioning
I was taking the trash out.
Oh,
I'm just talking. Oh, good. I thought that you were out for a walk. I'm like, be careful, your surroundings, bud.
Yeah, no, I was just taking the trash out. We're good. But
if you die,
back
please get it
now.
on stream. That would be 1 million hits.
No.
What a thing to say. Yeah, be careful then.
But in his defense, if he labeled it the death of Geek Hero Bubba, he would have so many SJWs on Twitter, like watching his channel, putting that on loop. He would immediately just skyrocket before Twitter booted him.
That's terrible.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Well, if any of you guys have seen a few of my fights on there, y'all would understand.
No, I totally dig it, man. I know what you're talking about, and it's just current society, not very happy about it. I'm a Boy Scout at heart, so.
So are we ready to talk about the tiny microscopic elephants in the room?
Oh, for heaven's sakes!
Ewoks.
Yeah, Ewoks.
You mean the meta of the meta
Ewok
of the
Jedi.
Glorian?
Well, okay, so
They were literally canonized in the next movie. They weren't even brought up again. They were only mentioned in one movie.
If you think of them as a theory and less as the gospel, you know, if you think of them as a theory that the Jedi had subscribed to at the time, it's a whole lot easier to swallow. But,
in all honesty, they're so obfuscated and obscured after episode 1. It's like they're barely even a thing. They mention it once or twice in the first movie, and then nobody cares.
Okay. I know a lot of people's problems with midichlorians was that they suddenly felt like, you know, you were either destined to be a Jedi or you weren't. There was, if you didn't have enough of these little bastards in your body, you just were never going to be a Jedi. But Obi-Wan is literally living proof that that's not the case. He worked to build up his midichlorian level. He had the lowest count of midichlorians, like in the the expanded universe. Like he was like the lowest. Even amongst the Jedi Masters. And then we see it again with Luke's Jedi Order post Return of the Jedi, We see some of his people weren't even Force users at all, and they were with years of practice, with they were able to build up that power. So I don't really see how midichlorians are really that big of a deal. And like you said, they do a good job of kind of distancing from it when they realized fans weren't exactly okay with it.
Yeah, it was unnecessary. They could have just used the word the Force. And if they wanted to, they could have had Qui-Gon scoff at the multiple theories, one of which, and that he scoffs at the hardest, is the midichlorian. I mean, they could have done that too, to show that there's a problem here, right? That's probably my biggest sci-fi complaint about the Star Wars universe in the prequels is we're going back into the history where the Jedi at least understood what they were, right? Luke was totally in the dark.
I don't know, man, because if you think about it, it would kind of makes more sense for Qui-Gon to go the other way, just because we all know an old man like this, some old dude that's absolutely wise, seems to be the smartest motherfucker on the planet, but then you find out one day that he's a flat earther, or you find out that in every other capacity he's on point, but he's got this one belief that just makes you question his entire, sanity. I feel like the midichlorians would have been that for Qui-Gon if they went that route.
I could totally see that too, and that would be why that could be the definition of gray. That like he believes something so ancient that everybody's just like, whatever. Good thing he's a skilled Jedi, otherwise he'd never have a job.
Yeah. Well, and talking about that along those lines, the fact that they never made him a master, or they made him a master but wouldn't allow him on the council, that could have played a major part into that. Which also, might I add, Anakin seemed like a spoiled little bitch when they wouldn't grant him the rank of master, but they allowed him on the council. Mm-hmm. But in his eyes, he has spent his entire life since the day Qui-Gon saved him, idolizing him. And so it's a nice parallel. He feels like he's being slighted just like his master was, his original master in his eyes.
Yeah. But so, one of the things one of the reasons I honestly believe that Anakin never became a master is he was only 24 years old. He didn't have the life experience to become a master.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
That was another trap, wasn't it? I mean, the whole thing was probably would have made him a member, just not at this time. But the Emperor made it an issue by declaring that he should be put on the council anyway. So they were stuck once again between a rock and a hard place. There was no escape. They had to deny Anakin because that was their actual decision, but they had to accept it because. So it's like. They were stuck again. The Emperor just used his rook and totally screwed him up.
That's literally the basis of the entire prequel trilogy.
So we've got 5 minutes, so I'm going to let you talk for 2 minutes and then we'll start yelling, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, but you were saying.
Actually, I wanted to lay out a fan theory, basically a fan fiction rewrite of the prequels that I thought would add a lot more texture by reducing the character set. Okay, here goes. Qui-Gon exists, and at the end of the first movie, he's killed, but his body is recovered along with Darth Maul's body, and he becomes Count Sidious, Count Dooku. So the scene in the second movie where Dooku has Obi-Wan trapped is actually a conversation between Obi-Wan and his old master, who is now against the Jedi Order.
Okay.
Right? Dooku doesn't get away, and in the third movie, he actually becomes General Grievous before the end of the film. And in the third movie, Obi-Wan finally kills his old master in Grievous form. And this would aid the transformation of Anakin to Darth Vader by portraying in the film how people's bodies are transferred into other bodies by lore and philosophy, and then by cybernetics.
Well,
And
and
they
that
would change their
also,
name each time as well.
It's an interesting
I
theory, but I don't think I can wrap my head around it.
That's
Well,
kind of. I'm sorry, Bubba.
oh, it's okay. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You were talking. I
Okay.
interrupted.
I was gonna say I don't necessarily like that, but I could get behind it. I could see it being plausible, mainly because in the post Return of the Jedi expanded universe, that's how Palpatine kept going from clone to clone. They would kill him, and he would find he'd find one of his sleeper cell clones and just reappear in that body, and so yeah.
Yeah, that is something I've seen. Like that came from Battlefront.
Yeah, and this
where
isn't a theory. I don't think that this is actually in the prequels. This is a fan rewrite.
Oh, I
yeah,
understand. I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah, but in the Battlefront, right? They actually have these things that are that are Palpatine robots. So it's Palpatine's face, Palpatine's personality, and the people still listen to this robot. One of my issues
that's
is
because that was part of his last set of orders.
no, yeah, but here's the thing though.
Dr. Doom did it first.
Yeah, and that's how we got you, Bubba. But one of my issues is we know how power hungry the Moffs are, right?
Yeah.
So would it not make sense if why am I listening to? We never heard Adam go. Why am I listening to a droid? Push the droid over, smash it, go right. Listen to me now.
Well, what's to say, because it was never fully explained, what's to say that one of the Moffs wasn't manipulating the damn things anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
We know now from the books and different things that different Moffs in different canon, let's just put it, EU, modern, have taken over when Palpatine decided, sorry, wow, wait, the Emperor's dead and so's his dog. Right, let's go. Bush says, what if one of the clones was in the middle of something when Palpatine possessed them?
Oh no! They were being cryogenically held. They weren't in the middle of anything.
Yeah, they were all tanked.
Right. I have another part of that same fan rewrite that Queen Amidala is actually, those aren't lookalikes. They're actually clones of her.
That would make more fucking sense.
And Anakin would have to go through this idea of whether or not the woman that was pregnant was even the real Amidala in the first place, and that's why he winds up killing her.
Well, and not only would that help with that, but that would also that would also help his descent into total chaotic madness. So you know, there's
and it could be a reveal because Palpatine was a former administrator on her world, on Naboo, so he would know, right? And he'd be able to manipulate that as well in Anakin's head.
Yeah.
So, like I said, these are rewrite ideas that should have been present but weren't.
So what do you think of the idea that Palpatine stole Padme's life force to keep Anakin alive? After the accident.
He did recover multiple bodies. Obi-Wan didn't take her, right? Obi-Wan did take her.
Yeah, Obi-Wan had her. They buried her back on Naboo, but they wouldn't have needed
her life force, not her body. No, not talking about her body, just talking about her life force.
Yeah. Because he wouldn't need to be there in person to do that. He's that powerful.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Using dark side witchcraft. Because, I mean, we know that he now knows the sisters of the Dathomir sisters, so he does know magic. Right? Like,
on top of that, you know, he tempted Anakin by telling him he knew how to keep people from dying. He never told him the price. He never told him, how much power it took to do it, or what exactly it took to do it. So that could work.
Yeah. But guys, we have hit the 1 hour mark, and it is 3:15 in the morning for me. So we'll definitely come back to this.
Oh, just one more thing.
No.
Okay. I'm just saying that would also explain why she lost the will to live. If Palpatine is telling her, trade your life to save the man you love, she would gladly do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, honestly, what I would have done, I know we're just going on a bit longer, but in The Mandalorian, how I would have ended the season is you see a bar, right? And after we see Luke Skywalker, spoilers, we just see this random bar, and there's these guys sitting at a table. Now, this is after the fall of the Empire. And these guys come up and it's like, hey, you owe us money, you're sitting in our table, you didn't pay us protection, and the guy's like, leave us alone. Like, go away. Right? And his friends are just sitting there and they're all just drinking and everything. And he's like, pulls out this little gun and he's like, I said. And then this guy turns around and cuts him in half. And it turns out that there's 5 Jedi at this table. And he's like, I said, leave us alone. And then he goes back to his drinking. Like, not even that they're important, but that there's more Jedi out there.
Yeah, that's what your poll was about, right? I mean, that was the question you're asking in your poll.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree. There would have to be more.
Was the Jedi fall stoppable?
Yeah, I don't think that the Jedi could completely fall. The Order may fall, like they become legendary in parts of the galaxy, but the idea that they're all gone, that's nonsense.
Well,
the number
even
of pretenders alone would be.
Yeah,
that would be like saying, just say for talk's sake, something happened to the Vatican. Just say, right? That's like saying the Catholics are gone.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Nobody, will you cover what's in the private chat for us when we're shilling?
When you do the shield, Josh, just shield the book.
Yeah.
I gotta take off.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
All right.
Sure.
I'll see you guys.
So
Always
we're
a
going
pleasure,
to-
Mr. Nobody.
Oh, he's staying. I'm leaving.
Yeah. So,
Bad.
in saying that, we're going to wrap up.
See you later, everybody.
Right? Fire fuck
Cheers.
Well, piss off too. Bye.
off. Bye.
have a good one, man.
Yeah. Stephen. No, Tim, you're our guest. Would you like to chill? To push yourself?
Um,
Well, we're wrapping
actually-
up, so like, tongue your channel, TikTok, things like that.
Yeah, Tim Possible Official. Check it out, and Tim Possible FC on Twitter. But as far as my channel, Sunday, I think we usually cover Andors at 7:30. We're gonna take a little bit of a break on that. I like the series, but the viewership's been down, so I'm gonna focus elsewhere on my TikTok stuff, and because I got a bunch of new cosplay,
Yeah.
and then
That's fucking awesome.
yeah.
If you are not familiar, Tim is like fantastic at like cosplay. I follow him on TikTok and Instagram, and if you follow him, he's going to make you want to go to the gym every single time. You're like, I get him, man. But yeah, no,
that's what I need. More fat shaming guild.
Shut up, you fat bastard. Anyway.
That's fair. Though you are a lot closer to Scottish than I am.
Yeah, but yeah, check it out.
That's-
As far as
sure.
YouTube streams, I don't know. House of the Dragon, we're probably gonna do the finale on Wednesday instead of Tuesday.
Okay.
So, but yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Always, man. You're more than welcome back. Wow, that is a lot of text crap. Okay, so that's going to have Fire's link is going to have to go in the description or something like that. Nobody, you want to do your shows?
All right.
Excuse
Hi, everybody. I'm Mr. Nobody. I'm the sometimes sub host of the Farvifian Guard channel on YouTube. Farvifian Guard, the most talented artist and or writer that we have just had on the show, has written a book, and you can find it on Amazon as the Farvifian Chronicle by Michael Kyle Rose. It's a fantastic novel that involves fantasy, centaurs, and probably things that explode.
Probably.
Oh, you know, you got to leave a little mystery in there.
Yeah. Hey, Steven, you want to push yourself?
Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be on.
Do you have a wrench? Yes, you
Yeah.
do.
Yep.
Oh no,
Yeah,
it's just checking.
I just dropped one of my streams for Sunday. PJ hasn't posted yet. But tomorrow I'm going to be on PJ Maybe's channel. That's going to be noon Pacific, 8 p.m. in the UK's. That basically just geeks getting together and showing off their wares. Probably
Fantastic.
4 or 5 guys,
I love
good bunch of guys.
That.
Scottish, we got a Swede, or I forget now, is he from Finland originally? But yeah, bunch of dudes just chatting the chat, chewing the fat on current events and pop culture, and geekdom, and so on and so forth. But Sunday I'm doing a Robert Heinlein discussion, general, with a couple of guys. One much more informed on the subject than I am, but I've always been a big fan of his work. So that's what I'm doing Sunday. That is again noon and 8 in the UK's.
Awesome. Bubba, what about you?
Well, as always, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook. I'm Geek Hero Bubba everywhere. You know, if I don't really do Facebook very often. It's one thing fighting with strangers. It's another thing when you get dogpiled on by family and friends, especially when you know they're fucking wrong. But anyway, you know, it is what it is. That being said, if you send me a request, I will definitely say yes. But I kind of sounded dirty when I said it like that. Anyway, all of you.
Request, I will definitely say yes, just for you.
Anyway, all of you have a good evening. I am going to take a little nap before work. I've got a 12-hour shift tonight. But,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. But I am getting moved to Monday through Friday in about 2 weeks, so I'm really, really happy about that.
Well,
will that affect you coming on the streams?
Yes and no. Technically, I'll be at work. During that time. But if there's nothing going on, I can sit in the company vehicle and hop on. I'll just have to make sure that nobody can see anything from my job.
Oh yeah, no. You just don't turn on your camera. That'd be
it. Exactly. Yeah.
So if anyone isn't sure, Bubba is actually a dildo salesman.
Nice.
No. He's actually Super Mario, as you can tell. He's hanging out with his best bud Goomba Man, and they're about to go deal some mushroom stuff in the Mushroom Kingdom. Tune in, ladies and gentlemen.
But
wow, did
guys,
you get all your information from the Bob Hoskins movie?
No, but I'm basically going off your picture.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm just messing with you anyway. But Mario, yeah, no, I do have that Goomba in person with me right now.
Nice. What's his name?
Captain.
Guys, also check out Time Prophet and Boosh McFadden. Both of them are creators. Boosh has only got 50-something subscribers. Go and check. Dude, stop showing off your boyfriend. So yeah, go and check them out. And I would like to thank everyone for coming and everyone for watching. So everyone, have a great night. Sleep tight. God bless. And oh yeah, go and also check out everyone we were mentioning. Go check out The Impossible and everyone else. So peace out, y'all. Scott Kathleen Kennedy. Solo.
He's supposed to make a noise.
Don't.
If you squeeze it, he yells at Han Solo.
How many times a night do you yell at Han Solo? Bush does gaming streams. Go and check out Raquel's gaming channel and things like that. Go check out Myra Kitty. Yeah, just go check out everyone. Just simply type in YouTube and start subscribing to people. Okay, peace out, y'all.